Don't blink, it's your boy Ink. Welcome to the content of the show. Guys are doing well because I'm having a wonderful day today on this 4th January 2025. I was going to say 2024, it would have been perfect. But I want to wish you a happy new year. I want to wish you a health, joy, love, and success on this new year, this new opportunity. They were making a video that we did before, and this video is going to be called I Wish I Had Something to Drink Before. Tabaslak, tabarnouche, fuck. We have a nice little rock star here. This is gonna be not a long video, but still, this is Kenny 2.0. Why Kenny Ots 2.0? The 2.0 is because we made that video again. It's funny because the reason why I'm doing a lot of 2.0, right, is because a lot of the time the video that I do that day or the way I feel that day, if I look at it a week after and say, oh, I don't feel that way anymore, I understand what I was trying to say, I understand how I feel back then, but I don't feel like that anymore. So here, what I'm trying to say, what I'm trying to do is there's a different, not necessarily mentality, but there's a different way to see things, and it's still, I still agree, but I want to see the evolution of the content creator. I want to see the evolution of my communication skill, my storytelling skill, but also Kenny Haas. Although I love Kenny versus Penny, I did the biggest mistake ever, which was to do the 6th season in a row on one night, right? Which was not good. If I could have changed that, I would have changed that. I would have done once a week. But I'm not able to watch the Kenny vs Penny because everything that I watch is content. Now, Kenny vs Penny. Why? So first of all, I think the video that I did is actually super important. I've been talking about Kenny Ots a while. I think if I was to make a new video, because this is technically a new video on an old subject, I would possibly go for who is Kenny Ots. Kenny Ots is a Canadian, the Canadian George Clooney, as he like to call himself. I used to have a cup that was much bigger. Now I don't know what is that cup. See, I should have pressed pause or I should have planned, which make these 2.0 video as bad as the first one. Although, was the first one bad? I don't think so. So he created a series called Kenny vs. Penny, which in the genesis of Ink Vendetta and the importance of Ink Vendetta and the person that I am today as Ink, but also as Stefan, which is my real name. Kenny Oz has this importance, as this momentary almost big bang in my life, and it's quite simple as to why, but I think I still feel like there's a need to go in deep as to why. Kenny Hart, the show, Kenny vs. Penny was a show that I didn't like. I really didn't like it. So what happened was, I was raised and born in French. I was born and raised in French, not raised and born. I was born and raised in French, and my father was very, very pro-French. My father was one of those French Canadians that said, no, English people are the bad guys, you know? And and because of him, I didn't want to speak English. However, I got it from my mom. My mom actually wanted to push me into, my mom wanted to push me into speaking English because she said, you're gonna need it earlier than you later. See, you're still not mastering the English language. What she did, she sent me to an English camp. And the funny part is, at my mom's house, we had one channel that was Teletoon in French, and the rest was English. And Teletoon, I felt like I was getting older. I was at 13 years old. I was like, okay, well, I'm too old for Teletoon, dude. This is a kid's show. Now, was it a kid's show? No. Was I feeling like I'm maturing? You see, the 13 years old was such an important moment in my life because it was from middle school to high school. And I think, okay, cool. Now we're moving on. So I went there and I was like, okay, well, I wanted to watch different channels. So one of the channels that I liked watching was Showcase. One of the shows that I love watching was Trailer Park Boys. Now, I know this is not Trailer Park Boys video, but you know how much I'm a fan of Trailer Park Boys. I made multiple videos about the boys. Also, Trailer Park Boys, the reason why this show is so important to me was they were swearing. It felt like an adult show, but felt super funny. I still remember the first episode that I watched, and the first episode that I watched was quintessential to my love for Trailer Park Boys because it's one of the best episodes out there, in my opinion. It's close to the heart. which is they kidnap a singer, and it's about friendship, and it's about swearing. It's fucked. They're going to the sewer. It's really a fucked show. It's really fucked, but it showcased the swearing. It showcased the rivalry between Leahy, Randy, Ricky, Bubbles, and Julian. It's also talks about drugs a lot, right? It shows the idiocy of Trevor and Corey. It shows the weight, the length the boys are willing to go for that, and it's a really good episode. So I was like, okay, well, this is a show I want to watch. And the funniest thing is, I didn't understand what they were saying. I was watching Trailer Park Boys, and that's God honest truth. I was watching Trailer Park Boys because I thought Bubbles expression were funny. I thought his facial expression were funny. Like, you know what? I want to listen to that guy more. You know what? I want to put it like that. I want to. Okay. Okay, that's good. Let's go. I want to put like that. No. Oh, hey. You also have a visual for a game, right? Now the volume is not too loud. Good. So we're recording the screen here, so you'll still get something. So Trailer Park Boy. The reason why I like that the game is Art Night, not sponsored, but I think like that is actually quite fun to do. So see the Trailer Park Boys. Just the bubble expression and the fact that we're saying was making me laugh. And the craziest thing was this speed. I turns out I have this kind of good linguistic intelligence, which means that I can learn language pretty fast. And in the summer, my the quality of my English really improved. By the end, I was able to learn about Trailer Park Boys, and Trailer Park Boys was a show that I wanted to watch. The problem was I could watch only Trailer Park Boys at my mom's house, which was 2 days under 14. Right. So long story short, I was really in love with it, and every single time that I could watch it. Now, at first showcase, and this is we're going back in the 2002, 2004, 2005. We're going way back. At first, what Showcase, which is the channel, what they used to do, also Showcase, and the reason why I liked it was on Friday, they would literally have porn show. On Friday, they would literally have porn. It wasn't a porn movie, but it was the behind the scene of a porn studio, which there were tits involved. What they would do from 6 to 7. It was Trailer Park Boys, so 2 episodes. Then they switched it to Kenny versus Penny, right? So I was like, holy shit, I'm so happy. I'm so thrilled that we get a new show. Now, sadly, I'll have to be honest here. Kenny versus Penny, I did not like it. The first show that I watched was Who Can Stand the Longest, which was season 1, which was very different from the rest of the show. Very, very, very different from the rest of the show. And I didn't like it. I thought it was a boring show. My mastery of the English language wasn't great. I didn't get the complexity of... See, I'm going to get some hate from the Kenny vs. Penny, but to me, yes, the competition are entertaining. The competition are fun. The competition might be why you're watching the show, but the reason why you keep on watching the show isn't the competition. Is possibly Kenny or even Spenny. Rarely, but still. So I was like, okay, I didn't like the show. I did not like the show. Fuck that. Years later, we're talking about 2011. I was 18 years old. Really good. 18 years old was a big year. Was my first year out of school. My first year, I got to do whatever the fuck I want. Now, I was extremely lucky. Trailer Park Boys was free. I'm going way back, and again, I'm sorry that I'm making this video about myself, even though it's a video about Kenny Hotz. But there's a method to madness. So I spent a couple of days I spent a couple of months at my father, where I would watch YouTube the whole day. Now, technically speaking, in 2011, the rules for the copyright were very aloof. It was very kind. It was very forgiving. You could basically watch shit. I could watch the 7th season of Trailer Park Boys. I watched it once, I watched it twice, I watched it 3 times. Now, there was a problem with that. The problem was it was still Showcase. And because I was watching a lot of Showcase, when YouTube algorithm, which was 2011, was very different, they kept on pushing Kenny versus Penny. Because Kenny Hotz bought the right to Kenny. Well, no, he didn't buy the rights, he was one of the directors. but he had the rights to put it on his YouTube channel. And admittedly speaking, I think it's more ethical to watch Kenny vs. Benny than Third Party Boys, because Third Party Boys, I was watching it from people that re-upload the content, which again you can do, but it's not, you're not how can I say that? You're not necessarily given, but you're not supporting the content creator in themselves. So yeah, so that was one thing. Then I watched Kenny vs. Penny the second time, and the first episode that I watched, and again, I was watching Kenny hot. So the reason why we're doing this video is because I was watching the commentary, commentary of Kenny versus Penny with Kenny and Sebi, which I love. I really like Sebi. You know, I didn't. The thing is, I didn't know Sebi before, but the duality, the harmony, the chemistry they have is really good. And yesterday was a really emotional moment. Kenny called Sebi the third the third Beatle. I was looking for it. I don't know if it was a band, but I wasn't sure what it was. And I was getting really emotional, you know. Yeah, so I was watching it, and the first episode that I watched, that I remember watching was I remember who could wear an octopus on their head the longest. It was a crazy show, and I was like, okay, well, I'm not so sure about it, but still. And then I watched the second episode, which was who can win a cockfight, and then I got pushed. But I'm sorry to say, no, 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 no. That's not the first episode. The first episode was who can win. I don't remember the first episode. I thought it was that, but it couldn't be it. I don't remember what it was. But I remember Kenny winning, and I remember Penny losing, but I remember Kenny cheating. And I was like, fuck Kenny, he's an asshole. And then I was like, fuck that. And then I was going to watch the second episode because I was hoping that Penny was going to win. And then Kenny cheated again. And I'll be completely honest, for the first 4 or 5 episodes that I watched, I didn't like Kenny. I thought he was a cheater. I thought he was a bastard. I thought he was an asshole, right? But then I understood the genius of Kenny. And I fell in love with the person. I fell in love with the mentality. I fell in love with what he represents. And that was extremely, extremely important to me. Now, why was this so important to me? It's actually quite simple. It's actually very, very, very simple. And I like saying very, very because it sounds like I'm a dummy. Possibly am, but who gives a shit? So what happened exactly was I was like, okay, well, Kenny is cheating, but I'm not really watching the show for the competition. I'm watching the show for Kenny vs. Penny, and Penny, although is the guy you're supposed to support, is out there complaining, he's out there whining, he's out there being a piece of shit. Now, of course, the reason why he's a piece of shit is actually quite simple, because this show was a constant humiliation. But when you understand the behind the scene, you understand that Penny kind of had to get humiliated because Kenny was in charge of producing the show. Kenny was in charge of the production value, of promoting the show, of getting deal. Kenny was the one that introduced Penny to Matt and Stone, which are the creator, Matt Stone and Trey Parker, which are the creator of South Park. So super, super important. And the show really meant a lot to me. Now, the craziest thing is, of course, I watched the show, and at the end, I watched a show that really changed me. The show that was, can win a 10 miles, a rat race, who can win a 10 miles race, who can win, who can wear a chicken coop on their head the longest. Those shows to me were stupid, but that's why I like the show. That's why I said, okay, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to watch this show. I'm going to enjoy this show for what it is, right? And I kind of fell in love with Kenny, and that's the reason, not love romantically, but love with the context. The reason why, and that's disgusting, but the reason why I liked Kenny was because I disliked Spenny. Spenny was me. Spenny was a too nice of a guy. Spenny was the guy who constantly got stepped on by life, right? And Spenny was always like, oh, I'm going to be nice. I'm going to be the moral sense. I'm going to take over. I'm going to be the nice guy. Don't touch me. I'm the nice guy. If you're going against me, you're basically supporting evil, right? Which to certain people, to a certain degree, was true. But to another degree, wasn't. And what I feel that is really, really, really important here is to precise that oh yeah. Yes, Spenny was the good guy in the case, but Kenny was the guy who understood that the world wasn't a fair place. that the world wasn't a jolly roly, and possibly wanted to be a good guy, but realized that good guy don't get nowhere in life, and you're like, fuck that, this is bullshit. I don't want to be in a world where I'm gonna get stepped on because I'm a nice guy. Kenny was a cheater, yes, but he was entertaining. Kenny was a cheater, yes, but in one way he was like, it's a competition. Doesn't matter how I win, the matter is what I win. And there's always this debate where who wins a competition versus who does a humiliation. And I have to side with Spenny. I have to say that I have to say it's complicated. So I have to side with Spenny and say I think who won the competition is the winner here. However, nobody cares about the winner. Nobody cares about who won a competition. The people care about the head of the show and the humiliation. And if Spenny does the humiliation, then that's his own victory. So yes, on paper, Spenny did win more competition, but in reality, Kenny won more because Penny was humiliated more. But Kenny, and I got completely obsessed with Kenny. I started watching his podcast. I started watching this Triumph of the Will, and it was beautiful because I kept on seeing a dude that showed me life, that taught me a lot about life. He taught me that it was okay to lie, and if as long as the white lie, it's okay to lie. It was okay to manipulate the system, and as long as you're not hurting people. And then I took it out of the proportion. I started manipulating people. I started lying to people a lot, and yes, that's because of Kenny, because he showed me that was okay. But most of all, mostly speaking, I was taught as a guy who was too politically correct that I was getting nowhere in life, and I was gonna get stepped on and stepped on and stepped on. Think about it. Years later, I was 25. I got this job at a place called PCT. 2018. I was 25. And this place was a blessing because I was so happy there. And that's for one guy. Now one guy would bully me, physically, emotionally, and I tried to be nice with that guy, but he didn't understand. And the only way that I could was I insult him. I was mean to him, and then he was like, "Oh, this guy is mad at me. Maybe I should stop," you know. But Kenny taught me the way to live life, and it's not so much about being morally wrong. Is there places where it's kind of complicated? Is there places where I think he went too far? Yes. But most of all, I think he went for entertainment. See, for example, the one of my favorite episodes is when he sell the script. When Spenny, the Who Can Sell More Bible, and then this one he takes one of Spenny's script, and he takes Spenny's script, and he was like, "Yo, you sold it." And then again, you realize it's not true. It's a great episode. I'm not gonna say much about it because I want you guys to watch it. It's on Kenny Osh channel. But ultimately speaking, Kenny, although was an asshole, it was an asshole because he made his friend believe that his dream was achieved. He was also a good friend in saying, "Look, your script didn't sell. Your script didn't sell. And when you did sell, they asked you to change everything." And like, "Okay, I'll change everything. Maybe you should rework your script into something that you're less able to work as this is a passion project versus this is I need money." Kenny was always more of the passion project kind of guy, and Spenny was more of a cash kind of guy, you know. And it sucks because where does Kenny went too far? For example, there's an episode where who can handle more torture? I think who can handle more torture was very decisive, very divisive also. So it's a competition where you handle torture, and then Kenny says every single torture there is to humiliate Spenny, right? And then you're like, okay, well, you didn't even want to compete. Why did this competition? And then you realize that Kenny is just abusing his best friend. He's just torturing his best friend. But then you realize that bad guy isn't Kenny. And for a long time, you think Kenny's a bad guy. But then you realize that no. The guy who put himself through this situation is Penny. The guy who decided to do these challenges is Penny. The guy who said, "You know what? I don't give a fuck. It's Penny." Now, admittedly, and that's almost the end of the video, I did fall out of love with Kenny for a long ass time, for 4 or 5 years. Because what I'm not saying is, when I was in the apartment, right, I didn't have Wi-Fi, so I would download show, and I had the whole show of Kenny vs. Penny on an SD card, and I would watch it once a month, and I would watch it. I fell out of love with Kenny because after he did Quench of the Will, he kind of disappeared. He started doing some other show, started working on more of a directive. He did some stand-up where I wasn't a fan of his stand-up. I'm sorry. And before you talk shit to me about, oh dude, you're rough with Spenny. Spenny, this is another example of Spenny. So, and this one, Spenny, give me a sec, I have to do this. This is also important. This is for the streaming. We're playing Arknight once again. Arknight, which is a fantastic game, has been there for 5 years. They've been really putting effort lately, so let's encourage that. So, for example, Spenny, right? Spenny says, "Oh, my dream is to be my dream is to do stand up," right? And you see him do stand up, and there's a whole show about it, how he doesn't want to be good, but then how did I die here? Okay, that's stupid, but whatever. I died. You see, a couple of seconds. See, Spenny he said, "Oh, my dream is to be a comedian. My dream is to be a script writer," and you gotta feel bad for Spenny because he doesn't know where he's going in life. And Spenny is like a lost sheep, right? Spenny is like a lost sheep, and Kenny is a wolf. He's gonna eat Spenny. But if Spenny knew what he was doing, if Spenny was more so of a ram than a sheep, then he would have defeated Kenny. You know, and I fell out of love with Kenny because I felt like he gave up. Then you would look at him and he became a dad, and I was really, really proud of him. And I started watching the commentary, and I was deeply, deeply hurt. So I was watching the commentary about 3 years ago, and I was deeply hurt because Kenny was like, "Oh, I regret doing that. I really regret doing that." And now you're saying, "Yeah, but Ink, if the guy regret doing that, you can't be mad at the guy." But I was like, dude, this was something important to me. This is something that shaped me, you know? And now that I'm older, I understand him. I understand him because he went that far. He could have won even if he didn't go that far. There's time where he went that far when he didn't need to. There's this constant need to improve yourself. This constant need to, and I'm learning a lot from Kenny lately. There's just because I'm a content creator now. I'm a content creator now. There's this deep need of reassurance in the fact that Kenny always felt like he needed to step it up, because people were expecting him to give a show, right? Spenny didn't give a shit about giving a show. It all fell upon Kenny's shoulder, right? And there's also this insecurity of, could the show have been better if I didn't go that far? Would the show have been picked up by Netflix? I think like that. Would the show have went worldwide if I didn't do that? You know, and ultimately, the deep insecurity of Kenny, the deep insecurity is relying on the fact that if I didn't go that far, would the show be what it is? So by saying that, Kenny is basically saying, would people like me for myself, not for what I did, for myself? And that's a deep question that he asked. And for me, it is the same thing. Is the fact that we push so far for. Oh my fuck. Yeah, I cannot talk. We pushed so far the envelope last year for pushing content out. And maybe that sabotaged myself. Maybe that shadow banned my account. Who knows? But do I really care? I don't really care. However, it's a shame that I did all that work for not necessarily for no reason, but you know what I mean. Anyway, I love you guys. Take it easy. Peace.